us, and you give that, and we'll just start talking. So, I guess whenever you're ready, Luke Dog.
The video's playing.
Yeah, a little, said a little hip hop.
It's on you.
We are up. Is it me?
It's on you.
Just me?
Yep.
Well, this is for real, right?
This is closure.
What's up, everybody? We are here tonight, starting a new podcast. Don't know how this is going to go yet, but I'm here with Jeff Dowden.
We're just winging it.
Just winging it.
Winging it.
So
it's real. It's real.
No, it's for real.
Yeah.
You know, we're keeping it real for y'all.
Are you for real?
Are you for real? I'm for real. Jeff's for real.
I try to be for real.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, so it's funny. I guess first of all, let's do the cheesy part. Introduce ourselves.
Okay.
You know, I'm Bubba Thompson.
Hey, Bubba. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir.
I'm Jeff Dowden,
Jeff Dowden.
realtor here in Sherman, North Texas.
That's right. Yeah, we're both real estate agents
Yes,
here.
yes.
Yeah, I forgot to say that part, right?
Why are you here?
Yeah, why are you here? That's always fun. So, you know, what's funny is when we started talking about doing this, you know, I put something out there, and I know you were the one of them that came up and said, you know, you might want to do this. And I was like, Jeff, because I watch some of your videos. I love your dry sense of humor.
Oh, okay.
I think that's really what got me, because you like to, you know, think outside the box a little
Yeah.
bit. So, you know, that's why I was like,
Keep
oh,
it
yeah.
real. Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
I'm glad you do. My wife
no,
hates
I
it.
just I like your creativity, authenticity, and that's kind of what I was looking for whenever I was starting this. So,
Okay.
But I wanted to do this because, you know, there's so much boasting and stunning
Stunning. I
realtor
like that.
talk out there, right?
Yeah.
You know, the butterflies and
Yeah.
everything's so sweet and perfect. You
All
know,
the
and,
TikToks, just solds, that kind of stuff.
yeah, you
Yeah.
know, and I do that stuff too. You know, like,
Well, you
I
have
just
to boast
sold.
a little bit, right?
But you know, I wanted to talk about the real stuff, like
Yeah.
what really happens. You know, I mean, like you and I in our offices behind closed doors, man,
Yeah.
we talk about it. You know, or sometimes with our clients, we're talking about it. They see it, but really, as far as the public, everything looks so pretty,
Yeah.
and it's not.
Yeah.
Right? You know, that's why there's so many people that want to become real estate
Yeah.
agents. Right?
Oh, agreed. Especially during COVID with so much time and
Mhm.
like a lot. I think the license numbers went up like this because it became pretty easy. But
And that's when I was down in Austin, you know, so we got really kind of hands on down there. Got a lot of people from Trek, you know, that come to some of the meetings and stuff, and they used to say like they're going to make things more difficult, so
Yeah.
there won't be so many agents
okay,
become licensed here, because there was just too many. They were just flooded.
raise the bar a little bit.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't be a terrible thing.
No, and you know, and what you know, one thing that a lot of people don't know is like, do you know what the average agent sells per year?
I think it's like 4 homes. It's
Maybe,
like-
yeah, I think
like
2. At one time, it was 2.
Yeah, the top like 75% sells 4.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I think that was from NAR last year or something
Yeah.
like that. But
Yeah, so those numbers are pretty. It's just like in any industry, right? I was
maybe
just
we
talking.
need a guy like to fact check us, like Tony Rowley.
Yeah,
off
Luke,
the
you fact checked us.
pop-up video.
Yeah,
It was actually.
Oh, maybe that's what we ought to do in the show. Little
Here you go.
bloop, little bloop.
Yeah.
Maybe
a
I'll
little
put one right here on
pop-up
when I
video.
edit this or something. But yeah, so
According to NAR, the average sales price was.
most, yeah, so
Mhm.
you know, most agents that become agents,
Yeah.
licensed, they fail,
Yeah.
right? What's the stat? I mean, it changes, but
Oh man.
like 80%, 85% in the first 5 years.
Yeah, I think it's higher than that for the first 2, then 5.
Yeah.
So
So basically, in 5 years, they just shut it down, because
Yeah.
you got to renew your license every 2 years,
yes, correct.
right? So you know, and it's not free, and
No.
then you know you have to go through your get your credits and all that, and
Yeah.
you know, if you haven't sold anything,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, you're thinking,
Yeah, there
what's
is
the
cost to
point?
do this.
Mhm.
It's not, like you said, it's not free. You know, you got your national dues, your local dues, your state dues. and
Mhm. Super
not-
key dues.
Yeah, not only that, but you got to carry cost of business. So
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not cheap. You know, and sometimes those numbers, you know, like we were talking about, you know, selling 2 or 4 a year, the average or whatever, sometimes those numbers are skewed because some agents join teams,
correct. Yeah.
right? And then everything, whenever that agent actually sells something that's on that
Mhm.
team, well, the team leader or whoever is the one that
Yeah.
gets all the credit.
Yeah.
I've never understood that.
No, I don't get it either. I mean, if you're getting like on a team, maybe we're getting a little too deep in the weeds to start
Yeah.
here, but like if you're a buyer's agent on a team and
Yeah.
you're getting fed leads from
Yeah.
the team lead, then, but you know, as far as like team lead that takes credit for every sale, I don't know. I've had it weirds me out. I'll work with one agent for 30, 45 days, and they're like, "Can you close it?" And so and so's name. I'm like, I never talked to this person. So.
Yeah. Well, and if you ever notice, they're always kind of embarrassed.
Yeah.
Right? Because they wait to the last minute to tell you. So they're a little bit. So I'm like, man, I would never do that to someone. You know. Anyway, I know we're getting off track a little bit.
Let's get as deep as we can in real estate.
I know, but yeah, we want to bore you. That's what we're trying to do. We want to bore you. Anyway, I got some water. Every time I talk too much, I get the.
Oh yeah.
Oh, what you got? What you got going on there?
I got a little. You know, since we're doing Friday night laid back show, I was like, bust out a little ranch water, a little seltzer.
Little ranch water.
Yeah.
Who makes that one?
This one is by. Is this a plug? Are y'all sponsored on here?
No.
Lone River Ranch Water.
Lone River, is that local?
I don't know. That's from Target. Another plug.
Yeah.
Target. Send us
Target.
some money.
If you're looking Target, come on.
There you
come
go.
on.
30-second ad.
Yeah. So anyway,
This segment brought to you by.
Brought to you by. Yeah, we do need some sponsors, by the way. So
Target, if you're listening.
Target. Yeah. But anyway, so back to what we were talking about. You know, starting this podcast. You know, just something we just want to keep it real. And, you know, that's one of the names we were tossing around. We put it out there to a public vote, and that's how we came up with "Are You for Real?" But keeping it real is kind of the really what we're intending to do.
Well,
here.
and I think, and we can get into this maybe later with like the pet peeve segment we're gonna do. But I think it's become such a glamorized profession. It's like selling Sunset or Sir Hant or whoever, or TikTok, Instagram.
Yeah.
It's like there's so much muck before you get to that. So.
Oh yeah, I mean you got to get in the mud, you got to get in the dirt, you got to get dirty, you got to lose a lot.
Oh yeah.
Right before you get there. So I mean, what made you get into real estate?
I was a GM of a pizzeria here locally, and I just kind of as me and another guy were kind of if I wasn't working in GM and he was, and I just kind of got to a point where I was like, I was a self-starter anyway, and I was in my early 30s. I'm like, I'm not going to retire doing this. So it's like, what can I do, And I always had an affinity for like law and contracts and real cool stuff.
The boring stuff.
Yeah. So obviously in my 30s, I was like, well, I'm going to go become a lawyer. No.
Yeah.
So I was looking at like maybe being a paralegal, doing something online. Then that's kind of, one of my favorite shows at the time was Modern Family, which Phil Dunphy, we all know and love. And I was like, this looks fun, So kind of dove into that a little bit and just, I was like, I'll, do the licensing, see how it goes. And it's something that I like, but it was kind of didn't take too long to get into because I didn't want, 4-year university or something in my 30s. So kind of jumped in and did that and kind of fell in love with it. And, it's the adrenaline rush here and there when you're doing well and a lot of highs and lows, but.
Yeah. No, it is. I mean, it's,
for sure.
It's definitely, it's a roller coaster. I always tell people it's a huge roller coaster, and you just got to be ready for it. I mean, you have to really mentally be prepared for it.
Yeah.
Right. And you're not working on salary.
No,
just because you show up doesn't mean you're getting paid.
Yeah. You're working for free most of the time.
Yeah. I come from sales background, so I'm used to, straight commission. So, there was.
So you didn't get paid till.
Yeah. I mean, you get paid when you sell something, right? And but the reason why I like commission based type because I like to hustle, and so I can make as much as I want.
Well, there's not a cap,
No, there's no cap.
And that's kind of where I was. I was like, I can't go any further doing this. So if I'm going to be my own boss, so to speak, then I'm going to go get paid based on how it works as opposed to.
You have to have a lot of faith in yourself, right? To do this.
Yeah. No, and some, that's.
I mean, there's some.
That's a mental test every day. Sometimes,
but it really is. It's like, shoot, am I worthy enough? Can I do this? Right? Sometimes, so
for sure.
But that's the fun part, I guess. Sometimes, but there's, always put people in two different categories, right? So you have your 9-to-5ers and you have your entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and
it can kind of overlap a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying that's if you work a 9-to-5 job, that's all you're going to do the rest of your life. But there are some people that can't do, you know, they need someone to go, hey, go do this,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And here's what you're going to get
Yeah.
paid, and you know, you're done
They
at
need
5
to know
o'clock.
where
You're done.
Their next paycheck comes from. Like, I don't know if you're a fan of the show Friends, but when that
Yeah.
one
Oh,
episode
yeah.
where Joey and
Yeah, yeah.
you know, he's like, you know, I admire you how you can like not. It's kind of insulting, but Ross had to know whereas you know, and this is true. It's two personality types like that. You know,
Pivot. So, fun fact is, Friends
Mm-hmm.
is on our TV every night.
Okay.
That's like the background
Yeah.
noise in our bedroom
Mm-hmm.
at night. Kind of like, okay, that's when you know the end of the night is, and
Yeah.
Friends comes on. And it just plays all night.
That's
Or
that's
not
good.
all night, but
That's relaxing.
yeah, it's just kind of in the background. I
Yeah,
don't ever
familiar.
watch it, but
Yeah.
I've watched, you know, every one of them. That was the only, besides The Simpsons,
Mm-hmm.
probably the only TV show that I would watch,
Yeah.
like on, you know, on a Thursday night,
Okay.
right?
No Seinfeld?
Huh?
Seinfeld?
No, I wasn't into
Yeah.
Seinfeld. Now I like
You
Seinfeld.
went back to Seinfeld.
Yeah,
Okay.
the reruns.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, when it was actually on air, I didn't watch it.
Okay.
I was a Simpsons
Yeah.
person or a Friends.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, what brought you into real estate?
I think most of it was the freedom,
Yeah.
right? I wanted the freedom to be my own boss
Mm-hmm.
type deal, right? And I saw that was a way that I could use my creativity, like marketing side,
Okay.
and make a living
Yeah.
and kind of do it on my own. You know,
Mhm.
I think it was mostly the freedom.
Okay.
Or I could say, like everybody else says, you know, I love showing houses.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, pretty much. You show 3, and then in
Yeah.
the end they pick one, right?
yeah.
That's how it works.
Always, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
exactly
usually,
how it
it's which one. You don't know which one,
No.
but it's gonna be one of those 3.
No. You just go to commercial break,
Yeah, yeah,
and you come back.
yeah,
Then we make $100,000.
yeah, yeah. Exactly right. So, but yeah, I think it was the free. I mean, you know, the money's good. There's, you know, that's there. But once again, if you don't sell anything, you know,
Yeah.
you don't make any money. But yeah, I think it mostly was the freedom.
Yeah.
Of doing it.
Did you know there was freedom, or I mean, did like somebody like steer you towards it, or
No, I mean,
I should be careful using that word in a real estate.
yeah,
podcast,
steering. Yeah.
but let's
I
ramble on that.
guess, you know, I had friends that were in real estate. My
Okay.
my wife and her dad, custom home builders.
Okay.
So I had, you know, knew
Yeah.
that background. He always wanted to put me under his wing and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and take over the business.
Yeah.
But that it didn't excite me
Mm-hmm.
as much,
Yeah.
you know. But I learned a lot, you know,
Yeah.
with them. You know, like my wife built a house like that.
Okay.
I mean, she's pretty sharp as
Yeah.
far as she designs houses and
Okay.
all
That's
kinds
fine.
of stuff. It's
So
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Just gives you a lot of insight.
Yeah, so you know that was a lot of insight there as far as that goes, and then you know just having friends that were brokers.
Okay.
You know, Laney was a friend of mine,
Before.
yeah.
Okay.
And so that's who I. And what's funny is I didn't when I first started studying to become a real estate agent.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking,
For Karen out there, what is it off Shameless? For Trish out there, Laney Ramsey's a local broker here.
oh yeah, Laney Ramsey, local broker, homes by Laney.
Was it not Shameless, but
Shane.
the one on with Jason Bateman, they like start getting too in the weeds with like.
Oh,
who
you
they
talking about
know.
where the 3 guys?
Yeah.
We just watched that. Where they're on tour now.
Yeah.
My wife knows
On
that
HBO.
one. Yeah, Bateman's one of her
Smartless.
favorites.
Smartless.
Smarts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they get to talking about like Hollywood stuff, and they stop and they're like, for Sean's wife in mom in Wisconsin, Trish, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah, this is
so
what we're
Laney
talking about.
Ramsey's a local. broker
Yeah,
here.
she's a local broker here. Anyway, so she was a friend of ours, and so you know, just talking to her and everything, you know, I just thought it was kind of a cool thing. But what's funny is I wasn't actually when I was studying, I wasn't actually going to go with her. I was going to actually go with Keller Williams.
Okay.
Just
Yeah,
because,
Keller Williams is kind of the
and she came
first
came
stop
from
for
them.
a lot of
yeah,
realtors.
because you know the thing is, you know, they have a lot of training,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
mentorship.
Mhm.
You know, that's why. And even Laney told me that, like,
Yeah.
they do. And so I interviewed with them. I was going through the whole thing. But then when it got down to it, I was like, man, that's not for me. It was
Yeah.
too corporate. And it's
Okay.
not what I was looking for. It didn't have the freedom.
Yeah, your freedom.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I ended up joining Laney.
Okay.
And that was back in 2016.
Okay.
is
So
when I started.
I was 15, so we're pretty much
Yeah.
10 years in then.
Mhm.
So okay.
And what's cool about this, about you and I doing this, is we don't really know each other.
No, just
Right?
through
I
social
mean,
media. Yeah.
Through social media and maybe here and there seeing
Yeah.
each other. in real estate, but as personally, we don't know each other. And that's kind of like when I started, I wanted us not to get to know each other too much.
Yeah.
We can learn about each other right here.
Yeah.
You know, because if we told all of our stories, we may not tell them here.
Then
So
they kind of feel like forced or canned.
yeah.
Then it would be like we're best buds doing inside jokes, and so
and then no one else gets it. Right? Those inside jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we have any inside jokes, Jeff will fill you in
For
on.
Trish in Wisconsin.
Yes. So I got little notes here of what we're supposed to be kind of talking about. So, and I think we did pretty good.
Yeah.
Right. We went through, why we got into to real estate.
Well, I know you a lot better now.
Huh?
I know you a lot better now.
Yeah. See.
Avid Friends fan, Bubba Thompson.
Yes, that's it. A lot of people don't know that, right?
Who's not though? I mean, if something's wrong with you if you don't like Friends.
Yeah. What did it go for 10 years?
Yeah.
It was like one of the most watched shows or whatever. So yeah, Seinfeld. But like you said, Seinfeld, I wasn't a huge fan, but I am now. The Office.
Office is great.
Same thing. Never watched it when it was on air, but the reruns now, I'll watch it. We don't watch a lot of TV, but But if like I said, in the evening, sometimes it comes on. I'm one of those people that have to have background noise.
Okay.
I can't do silent.
So what are you doing with the background noise? You know, probably on the computer doing the MLS.
It's just anything. Yeah. But I have to have music, something in the background.
Oh yeah.
If it's too quiet.
Yeah, it gets kind of weird. Doesn't
it? And I'm getting too much in my head, I guess. I don't know. Just there's a lot going on up here, right? So anyway.
Which explains the shirt. Realtors need closure.
Yeah, so realtors need closure.
This is actually a therapy session. So
yes, that means a lot. Actually, a buddy of mine, Jason Pearson.
Okay.
Here's another plug, shameless. The Pearson Group, title company down in McKinney, Texas.
Okay.
So he gave me these shirts. So
I like it.
I just thought I'd wear it. Yeah. There you go, buddy.
It's a double entendre.
Yeah.
So
give me a
need closure and closure.
So. And closure and closure. Yep. So I think that was the intention of that. Anyway, so we've been in the real estate game about the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, we
before it got too easy, but it still wasn't too hard. We weren't in the 07 bubble. So
no.
Yeah.
But we had the COVID.
Yeah, we did have the COVID.
Everybody always talks about COVID, and I was like, that's so long ago, but still, it's feels one of those things like, it happened. We were, I was working here, and we had started a team down in Austin.
Okay.
And that's where I was at when COVID hit, and they were real strict down there.
I bet, yeah.
Dude, I mean, it was a ghost town.
Yeah.
It was wild.
Yeah.
It was weird. I did a video about it. I mean, it was just so eerie and how quiet it was. And as a family, we thought, all right, what are we going to do? Right? So we tightened up everything.
Yeah.
And, as far as financially, it's like, okay, don't do not, because I don't know what's going to happen.
I mean, I think a lot of us thought, people weren't going to buy homes or.
Yeah. Well, you couldn't show homes down there. We couldn't do open houses.
Yeah. You had to have the hazmat suits.
You had the hazmat suits on.
How many things did you have to have signed just to go into a house?
Oh, yeah, it was nuts.
Like, so.
Dude, my wife, for the mask and everything, like you were supposed to wear a mask and nobody had them at first.
Yeah.
So she sewed or sewed? Soon?
Yeah.
A mask, and I still have it. So it looks like one of these. I don't know. It's funny looking. I'm going to keep it though, because it's going to be one of those things in like 100 years. Someone's going to see this mask. Oh my God, this is back in COVID.
Yeah.
2020.
It'll be a
somebody sewed. They had to sew their own mask. But anyway, it's kind of cool. Anyway,
we all had to brand ours because that's what we do.
Yeah, eventually, everybody got all the branding done. But yeah,
Bubba Thompson Real Estate across your.
Yeah, just with the teeth. Remember, everybody was doing the teeth and all that, or the beards.
Yeah,
remember the beards, or you could get them to match your face, right? Print it out. Anyway, but yeah, we didn't know what the hell was going to happen.
No.
And then all of a sudden, dude, it just went nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy. And then everybody kind of saw that happening. Everybody's like, "Oh, I want to be a real estate agent."
Yeah. Well, and so many people were on a forbearance or working from home, so they had all this extra time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, oh, I was doing it, and then that
Yeah.
really kind of blew social media up as well.
Yeah.
So that's kind of when the whole like reels and TikToks and you kind of started having all that infiltrate.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, before it was just like your standard like walkthrough video. You remember?
Yeah, yeah, and we still do a lot. You know, you and I were talking about that. Like, man, I'm still trying to think of something that's different. You know, I'm always looking for something different. I hate following the crowd. You know, because I think you get lost in the crowd.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you end up chasing the dragon, so to speak.
Yeah. And so, like right now in this career, like I'm in that, like, what do I want to do next?
Yeah.
Like, what is the next thing? What's, the attention grabber? How can I help my client sell their house, or, attract a buyer client, or things like that. So,
Yeah.
That's the boring stuff. We said we weren't going to talk about stuff like that, and here we are.
So what do you use as your editor? Are you a CapCut or Adobe? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, it depends.
Trish in Wisconsin, this is industry of like what we use for video editing and whatnot. So.
And I get asked all the time. What do you? I mean, that is a question. Like,
my wife was watching yours the other day, and she's like, "What did you use?" I'm like, I think that's cell phone and CapCut. But
it's either if you'll notice on mine, if it's an overlay or something, there's CapCut.
Yeah.
If it's straight transitions, it's probably right in. If
Just
I'm in
that.
Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, I'm editing right inside there.
Okay.
And the reason why I do that is because I feel like there was a time, it seemed like when you went to CapCut, put it on Facebook, like Facebook didn't like it.
Yeah.
Right. It just, but
I think the algorithm likes it when you make it in there
inside
too,
there.
so.
Yeah. So that's why I usually do it in there. And plus I can do it faster.
Yeah.
Like when I'm doing one, if I'm at an event or something, I do it right then. I'll go sit out in my car, or if I have a place to sit down, I'll edit the video.
So you're fun at parties is what you're saying?
Yeah. I'm a blast.
There's Bubba.
Yeah. Where's Bubba at? He's over there. Oh, he's gaming, texting on his phone, Facebooking. No, I'm editing videos.
But it's like you said, the faster you get it out, it's in the moment. And
yeah, I like it. I like for whatever I'm doing to be people still be in the ether of the moment.
Of course.
Like if I have all this high end equipment, which is, the look of it is way better.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot more time.
Yeah. But I mean, do you need, a professional video shot for a chamber event?
No, people just want to see what's happening. As long as you can create that story and the feeling.
Yeah.
If you can take what's on that video, give it to someone, and they have that same feeling.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be perfect.
It's got its cycle, its life cycle. So
Yeah.
Get it out. Good enough done, right?
Good enough done. 15 seconds of fame.
There you go.
Yeah.
Andy Warhol said that, didn't he?
I don't know who said it.
It's true. It ended up being true. Everybody's getting their 15 seconds now.
Yeah.
Some people making millions of dollars with it. So
that's it. So, what we're going to start doing during the show.
Okay.
We're going to end up having guests.
Yeah.
So if you want to be a guest on here, be sure to message us. We're going to have, what are we going to start out with? We're going to start out with red flags.
Yeah, I think red flags is a good place to start, because that kind of, we can kind of be a little more, less catty, more informative with that one, maybe.
So this is going to be what we call our red flag segment.
Okay.
Music. So, I don't know if you were prepared. I don't know if I was.
I tried to prepare.
Oh, you did? I really didn't.
I try to prepare for everything.
I prepared the notes, but I didn't prepare.
Oh, you didn't get your flags together?
The answers. So I'm just going to wing it, Okay. So, but I'll ask you, in real, what's a red flag for you? I mean, this could be like, for a buyer, seller, or a house that you're looking at, or whatever. What's a red flag for you that you would tell your clients? Or
well, I'll start with one that happened recently. I'm showing an investor client right now down in Denton, and we put a handful of showings together, trying to, you know how it is, trying to overlap them.
Oh, yeah.
You're like six, 7, 8 showings in a 5-hour span,
And then you're jumping between showing time, broker bay, and or calling the agent.
And a lot of times with investor clients too, it's it's a list for service or something. So now you're trying to reach Freedom Realty that's actually this guy. So it's just
it's a mess.
It could be a nightmare. But they sent me one that's MLS photos, just one like Google exterior photo, and I told them, I'm like, and mapping out the showings, I'm like, you know what? I forgot to, because it's their family. I'm like, I forgot to schedule in a lunch for us, because we're going from like 10 to 3. And I'm like, you know what? I bet during this one we can go eat lunch. They're like, why do you say that? I'm like, well, it's one photo. It's been under contract, came back out. I'm like, I bet it's a dump. I bet it's a trap house. So sure enough, we walk in, like we're there 2.5 minutes. The walls are falling in. It's missing subfloor. And they're like, you called it. So red flag out there is usually, especially if you're looking at investment properties, if it's just one photo, like be prepared to see the interior of the house just be complete trash.
Yeah. And so, kind of keeping in the same context, a red flag that I see when I'm looking at photos, residential wise, is if you're seeing the interior photos first,
Yeah.
you can bet money there's something about the exterior
That you
that,
don't want to see.
yeah, either the agent or the homeowner doesn't want you to see at first. It's not the attractive part.
Yeah.
They're putting you to the most attractive part, which, whatever it is, the kitchen or whatever,
Yeah.
instead of the exterior.
Sometimes it's just a
So that's
stairwell. You're like,
so if you had to click through all that, and
Mm-hmm.
then the last photos are your exteriors, you're going, oh,
yeah. Photo
that's
32
why.
is the exterior.
Yeah, it's all the paint peeled off, or fire burnt hazard
Yeah.
outside.
Fire burnt hazard.
Yeah, so that's one of I was keeping it in the same context.
Okay.
So
That's a good one.
but I can go a little different if you want. I just thought of one.
I would love to hear it.
So like, you go look at these investment properties or properties that have been flipped.
Okay.
They're flippers, right? So it's been remodeled. The first thing I do when I walk into one of these houses is I go to the kitchen and underneath the sink, and I open up the cabinet.
Okay.
I want to look at the plumbing.
Yeah.
To see what was done.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's that accordion
Yeah.
stuff, right, then I know, then I start looking hard at everything else.
Yeah.
I go to panels, just everything. Right?
See, I usually go to the panel first. That's so we're same mindset, different.
Yeah, same thing. So the panel. So I always but I always do that kitchen and open up those. Well, everybody they're looking. I'll just go straight to it and just open it, and then I'll know, okay.
Yeah.
What
did they do?
Yeah, I mean, if they cheaped out here, because they couldn't align it correctly, then they didn't take the time to do that, and that's very visible. What's behind the walls?
Exactly. Yeah.
Did they put enough insulation in? Is it wired correctly?
Yeah.
Right. And then that's when you go and look at the panels. Right. I mean, we can't pop off the panels or anything and look behind there.
No, but I mean, you do it as long as we have. You get a general sense, like when the panels upgraded, labeled properly. You're like, okay, this has probably been permitted and green tagged. So.
Yep. And that's another. When I look at the panels too, I look at the top of panel as well.
Yeah.
Because we've been taught we're not electricians, but
we have around enough electricians.
Yeah, we have ideas. We've done enough inspections, and so
which kind of could give me another red flag. This one's kind of to all the dads out there, but a red flag for realtors is when the buyer's dad comes to the inspection. So,
yeah.
So if the house was built before, let's say 1990, and it's a first time buyer, and they bring their dad with them, just be prepared for.
Oh, you're done.
Yeah.
We used to call that third baseman.
Okay.
In the car business. Yeah. Third baseman.
Mm-hmm.
So third baseman, they're always gonna.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. They want to feel like they're doing something, right? So they're gonna give their 2 cents.
Yeah.
Whether it's right or wrong, And I get it. The dad or whoever is trying to protect, whatever.
Yeah.
But sometimes they're just.
Oh, and I 100% when I have a client, I'm like, I want. You get to a point where there's too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yep.
But at the same time, you want that person, because especially a first-time buyer, it's their biggest investment. It's a 30-year loan, typically. You want them to feel comfortable. So if having their dad come look at the house is what makes them feel comfortable. But more times than not, they end up arguing, like the dad anyway. But they, man, I'll tell you, I got stories, and I'm sure every one of us does. But they almost take it personal, like. The person that did this house was doing it to screw
them over. Yeah.
Yeah. They'd be like, "What do you mean they did put a screw in this junction panel or the panel the way it's supposed to be?" And it's like, man, we could go to Lowe's right now and spend $1.59 and fix that. But but yeah, I mean, it's personal.
Yeah,
for sure. So.
And sometimes, just kind of keep going with that personal. Like sometimes sellers, they get a little if somebody's looking, if they didn't like something, if they didn't like the curtain or something, they take it personal. I'm like, this is going to end up being like a business transaction, for the seller. Now the buyer's totally different, right? They need to be more emotional because it is their house, right? So they're putting a lot into it, but as a seller, we can't, those emotions, we have to calm them down, and that's part of our job too, is to,
Well, I think that's and then there's a huge segment of the population. It's like, why do I need a realtor, or why do that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, you got two people that haven't met, making a huge transaction, and it is you know, I try to tell people in a transaction, like, you know, they're not the enemy. We have the same goal,
Yeah.
you know, so it's, you know, take the emotion out of it as much as possible.
Yeah.
You can't to an extent, you know, but
That's speaking of emotion. You're scared of your mic. Can you put your mic up a little bit?
not too far away.
Yeah, maybe. So anyway, so that's our little red flag
Is that better?
segment. Yeah, I think so. We didn't do the headsets here, because we want to make it more, authentic here,
More
like
authentic.
chit chatting.
Well,
But sometimes
I'll move around. I'll probably bump it away.
No,
so,
I know that's
yeah.
what happens though. It's all good. So anyways, that's our red flag moment, and we'll do that. So what we're gonna do is when we have guests on here, we're gonna have them give us their 3 red flags, right?
Absolutely.
So we're gonna have just people from different industries on here, not necessarily real estate agents.
Yeah.
But we'll have just different people, and we want to know what their red flags are,
I'd
because
love
these
to
red
know.
flags,
Yeah.
it's something. Yeah, we're talking about it, but they also, for these people out here watching, it may help them with buying a house or whatever it is they're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Some
And
red
by all
flags.
means, bring your dad to the inspection. I'm just
Yeah, yeah, but they are. Yeah,
unless it was built before 1990.
yeah,
Stay home, Dad.
yeah. Oh God.
What do you mean this house is only 2-prong wiring?
Yeah. So anyway, that's the red flag moment. Once again, I said that. So anyway, why did we start this podcast?
Well, I think it was kind of your brainchild. I'll tell you my two cents of why I think it's good is kind of what we talked about. I think real estate as a whole, we've kind of gone through turbulent times in the last few years with different reasons. I think it's become, you're selling sunset, your $1 million listings and, put a sign in the yard, sell a house, et cetera, et cetera. So it's kind of fun to peel back the layer.
Yeah.
And to see what it actually is, what's really happening, kind of like, I know one of the things we talked about pre-show was like everybody's saying, like, marry the house, date the rate.
Yeah.
It's just so easy to put these, like,
how's that working?
Yeah. And everybody's got to put their, like, 10-second video out. And you can't break down how a refi works in that framework, so I get, but it's not that. That's not what real estate is. So
no,
that's why I think something like this is kind of fun, but important too.
And I've been, personally, before I even got into real estate, buying, selling real estate. And I've had some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Had a house. I don't know. I don't even know where to start. I think every house I bought, there was something crazy about it. I remember, like, for instance, my very first house we bought in McKinney.
Okay. What year was this?
That was in 99.
Did you take your dad to the inspection?
No. I don't even know if I did an inspection. I think we did.
Did you have a realtor? Did they tell you not to do an inspection?
No, I think we did. Yeah, my realtor was great. He helped us move furniture and the whole 9 yards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he was good. Shout out to Jason. Matter of fact, he owns the title company.
Okay,
That's right. I forgot about that.
There you
Jason
go.
Pearson. Yes.
So this is a long-standing one.
Yeah. Well, so before that, my first piece of property, my land that I bought in Pottsboro, I don't even know what year that was. I was 23, 24, somewhere around in there.
Okay.
His dad was my realtor.
Okay.
Helped me buy it and sell it.
There you
So
go.
that's kind of how that started.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so the house that we bought in McKinney, we only lived there about a year, and then we're building a house in Sherman. So we're selling that house within 1 year. We assumed, all right, here's what we're going to make and all that good stuff. We didn't realize until we got to the closing table, capital gains taxes.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So we didn't understand that. Didn't know about it.
Yeah.
You
just look on there like, what's this little fee to Uncle Sam there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't disclosed, and because I think we got that's why we thought we were taking home so much money.
Yeah.
Not that it was a lot, but taking home money, whatever the amount was, it was because the disclosure that we got didn't have it on there.
Okay.
Right, from the title company, you get one, but when we were actual closing table is when it was brought up. And we were like, "Oh man, dude, that hurt."
It's an interesting time to learn about that.
Yeah. So that kind of hurt. That was our first, big experience.
So
as
what'd
far
you
as
do? Did you sign
no,
still?
oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
Call the whole thing
the
off.
house was being
Yeah.
built, so we were done. We were ready
Mhm.
to get into the new house.
Yeah.
So anyway, we did all right, I guess. We didn't lose everything to get rid of it, but
Yeah.
it didn't help.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it kind of sucked.
Yeah.
So my first experience in real estate, as far as a house, residential house,
Was getting took by the government.
yeah, exactly right. So then I was like, oh, okay. So I've always kept that one in the back of my head.
And then your second experience in real estate was having to pay a 1099 tax
Yeah,
as a 1099 employee.
yeah.
Like, you go, what? How
Oh,
much?
oh yeah. When we first got into real estate,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
because I mean, yeah, it was nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then that the house I was telling you about that we built, it was, oh my God, trying to think of what was weird about that. I don't know. There was something weird about it, and I forget what it is, but there was something weird about buying that
Yeah.
new house.
The new one you bought in
the
Sherman?
new construction. I know what was
Okay,
weird
yeah.
about it. So when you buy new construction,
Mm-hmm.
right? So your taxes, right? You're only taxed on the lot.
On the unimproved land, yeah.
Yeah, the unimproved lot. So the taxes were nothing.
Yeah.
And then of course, a year later,
Mm-hmm.
you get hammered with the
So-
taxes. Yeah, then your payments go up.
Pretty substantially, so.
Yeah. So that's something a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
They don't comprehend that at first, I guess.
No.
Or it's not explained to them, actually, I guess.
Yeah, and it's not a real estate 101, if you will. That's
Mhm.
pretty in depth with, diving into it.
Yeah, it's just something a little different. If you don't know to ask the question, then it's probably
Mhm.
not going to get
Yeah,
relayed to you sometimes.
yeah. And as a realtor, sometimes you do it so much that you're like, almost need to like slow down and be like, okay, let
Mhm.
me walk you through and explain, because not everybody knows what a capital gains tax is.
No.
So,
And every deal's different, man.
Yeah.
You know that as well as I do. It's not a
and for
cookie cutter
traditional
thing.
Wisconsin, capital gains taxes, if you sell
Yeah.
your home
Mhm.
and within 2 years you pay
Mhm.
tax on what you
The gain, yeah.
make. So
And it's the amount. If you're married, single, the amounts are different. 250, 500, I think, or that
something
changed.
like that.
I think it's changed now, but anyway, something like that. So
Yeah.
I always got to be careful on that. Another crazy thing that happened to me one time. This was in 2008, I guess. When
Mm-hmm.
basically shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
We were trying to sell our house, and was having trouble selling it, and then had this fly-by-night realtor come by. I had it. I was doing for sale by owner.
Okay.
So this realtor comes by and says, "Oh, I can get you a buyer if you'll let me, assign the little thing where he could go out and market it in the
Yeah.
newspaper."
Mm-hmm. The newspaper. Oh man.
So anyway, so he did, and he found me a buyer,
Yeah.
right? So and we found us a house, so we're going to the new house, and so I got a buyer, and the buyer's like, everything's cool, and that real estate agent, yeah, he's going to put down so much, and actually he's going to earnest money. He's putting $25,000 down. So I was like, cool. So he wanted to move in early.
Oh, okay. Nothing could go wrong with that.
I was like, cool,
Yeah.
that's fine, Well, he moves in, and so I'm calling the title company, figuring out when we're going to close, and calling this realtor, and he's like, well, I'm just waiting on this and that. So finally I tracked down the title company.
Which is another red flag. And everybody's like, hey, we're just waiting on this.
Mm-hmm.
We had a hiccup, just waiting on this.
Yep.
Okay.
Something's going on because they don't tell you both sides, right? They're
No.
trying, confidentiality stuff,
Yeah.
fiduciary duties.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get the full story sometimes.
Yeah.
So I wasn't getting the full story. But what I did find out is that the title company never received that $25,000.
Okay.
So then we started hounding this guy, like, where's the money? Oh, he was on a plane trip, left the money in a magazine.
Okay.
That was a red flag. Somebody tells you they left the money in an envelope in a magazine on an airplane, red flag.
Yeah. 'Cause it's
So I knew something was
exactly how it's allowed to be delivered to title. Is
Yeah.
In an envelope. And
yeah. So I knew something was up. So I started digging pretty deep on this guy, trying to figure out who he was, and found out this wasn't his first rodeo on this.
Mhm.
So he was in my house. So this is, it wasn't like, a few days. This is going on for a
Yeah.
while. This dude hooked up a water softener through Culligan,
okay.
Had an electrician out there that did, I think, $1,100 worth of electrical work out on the patio, putting in lights, ceiling fans. Had a plumber come out, install new toilets. And there was something else, but I happened to know the plumber. My sister and I went to school with him, so I got his called him. Was like, hey, what's going on here? He goes, yeah, I don't know. He goes, but the guy never paid him. Electrician never got paid. Colligan water never got paid, and there was cases of water there. It was really weird.
Yeah.
I ended up getting into the house. I mean, there was a washer, dryer there. There was lawnmowers. There was weed eater, all brand new stuff. But not really moved in.
Yeah.
Like there was like refrigerator and stuff, but there wasn't like, not like you'd move in closet full. There was a bed on the ground. There were some clothes in the closet. It was weird. Like I never saw the guy personally, but
what was his angle? What was he trying to do?
He was a squatter.
Okay.
So anyway, I had a friend of ours, neighbors. This was out in the country, but anyway, she works for the sheriff's department, and so I ended up contacting her. They already had a warrant out for his arrest for hot checks and things like that. But he had done this to 3 other people.
Okay.
Just going and squatting in houses.
It's pretty elaborate. I mean, it's
pretty
title
wild.
companies involved.
Yeah. So it's pretty wild. I don't know whatever happened to the guy. I know he never showed back up to the house.
Yeah.
We ended up moving everything out and securing
it kind of
everything.
reminds me how they like go on and like you'll have a listing
Uh-huh.
and they'll clone it and put it on like Facebook Marketplace for like rent or whatever.
Yeah. So you can do a deposit now, with like Zelle and all that, Venmo. Everybody like, hey, go ahead and deposit here, Venmo.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh yeah.
Yeah. You can't come look at it until you send a application fee, and it's $200. I don't know, whatever, but
yeah,
everybody's scamming.
Everybody's out there trying to pull one over on you.
So. Well, it works for a lot of people, I guess, but
yeah, I mean, I got more crazy stories. There's something that went on now, of the Facebook scams.
Yeah.
Where I don't know, it's wild what people do for a
I
couple
did see
bucks.
the one in the news where the lady was paying Brad Pitt in France. Did you see that one? You have to Google this one. I don't know the whole story, but apparently she was in an online relationship with Brad Pitt. And
that's exactly what I was going to tell you. I know someone personally that just went through. I mean, just went through all that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Even to the point, it was so crazy. Like she called me and was wanting me to show them houses because this person was wanting to buy a house in this area and already knew kind of like I was explaining like this is not real, right? I mean, but the emotions were involved and couldn't do anything about it.
Oh,
yeah.
It was a Nigerian prince.
Yeah,
He had
there was $2
million.
There was a dude when I was in the car business.
Yeah,
and he got one of those letters, right? And he sent them like $5-10 grand. I forget, it was like 10 grand.
Okay.
Anyway, so we're sitting in the office one day, and he brings in these stack of folders, what we call deal folders, because each car you sold, you had to put a deal together, and it was in folders. He brought like 20 of them to the desk, and I was like, what is this for? He's like, oh, these are all the deals, when this guy gives her the money, he wants to buy these 20 cars. And I'm like, dude, that stuff's not real. And it was back when they just did the emails. It wasn't on social media.
Yeah.
It was before social media. It was the emails, but it was the Nigerian prince. He has, $5 million or whatever the money was coming.
Yeah.
And he's, if you'll help him out with this because he needs to pay for this, and then he'll send you the, 1 million or whatever it was. I mean, it was just the dumbest thing. And this dude fell for it, put all this stuff together, sent the guy 10 grand.
He thought he was about to sell the lot, huh?
Yeah. It's weird, but yeah, those people are out there.
Yeah.
They do it every day. There's people that, title companies right now, like, wire transfers.
Oh, yeah.
You got to watch out for
Have you
those.
had anybody get burned on that?
No. I've heard the stories.
I had one that was, I was the listing agent, and I'll leave all the parties out of it, but we got a call that the buyer had wired funds. It was like 30-something thousand.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to close in like 3 or 4 days. And of course, call the agent. I'm like, did you talk to them before? Called title company. They're like, no, we didn't talk to them. I'm like,
yeah.
So, but yeah, luckily dad ended up gifting him, and he was able to close on it, but it was on the news and everything else. But
He wrote a letter.
yeah, I think they tried to get the FBI involved, but it
Yeah.
had been like 3 or 4 days at that point, so it's just kind of like it's gone, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, and it's one of those things too. As a realtor, you know, you're kind of like assume that people know,
Yeah.
and it's like very prominent now. But at the time when it first started kind of happening, it was like you always tell your buyers, do not wire, sellers too, do not wire unless you talk to me or the title. And even if you talk to the title, sometimes call me.
Yeah, I always say also call me and
Yeah.
we'll just verify, because I mean you just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean there's so many ways that they can trick you into. I mean some of that stuff, man, is legit.
Oh yeah.
I mean looking, you know, but
And it's like now with like AI and the like voice changing.
oh yeah, the voice, yeah,
So,
that's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they can do that stuff quick.
We're about to go back to snail mail, man. Like,
I know, right?
Send that in the mail.
Yeah,
letter
walk it over
3 days later.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I've had people not even pay earnest money, option money, you know, when you're under contract.
yeah.
And what they don't really realize is when they don't pay that option money, and you've got a signed, executed contract, you're still under contract.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though you wrote, you know, termination.
Yeah.
And during the option period, well, you never, you know, you failed your option period.
Yeah. Like
You know,
I want to send in a require repressed.
Repressed.
Repair request. Butchered that one. But and you're like, oh man, you didn't put option money down in time. So
yeah, I mean, we could go on days and days about that. So speaking about all this, what are some of well, before I get there,
okay,
we're going, you know, during the regular shows when we start this, we're gonna have a segment called the pet peeves. What are your pet peeves?
So we got
segment.
Red flags is kind of what to watch out for. Now pet peeves are what kind of bothers us. So
what kind of bothers us, you know? And we'll ask these questions to the to our guests as well whenever they come on here. And I think I've got a few. But what are some of your pet peeves?
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
I'll go with the one that I sent you the other day.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so now it's a thing, and it's probably been for a while, but realtors have team members. So the minute you get an executed contract and you send it in, and next thing you know, so-and-so's, you know, hey, we need this and this, and then I got an email the other day that was like, hey, make sure you CC. And so I'm already talking to the second assistant of this realtor.
So now you got the realtor.
So
assistant.
I don't even think I'll talk to the realtor.
Yeah.
Again. I'm on.
They passed it
I'm on
on.
assistant 2.
Yeah.
But now assistant 2 sends an email like, be sure to CC our transaction coordinator.
Yeah. So
on the email, I'm like, I don't even know who this person is. Like,
So you got 3 people.
I don't know. So pet peeve of mine is like, I'm a solo agent. I pretty much handle everything.
Yeah.
And so like when I don't mind transaction coordinator, and I got to talk to your assistant. I'm like, who I want to send it to the realtor that I talk to first, and let them send it down the pipeline. Like, it shouldn't be my job to send it down your pipeline. So
yeah, I mean, it should be like a one-on-one. You know, and that's probably one of my pet peeves too, and that goes for the lending side too.
Lending,
title, and so like if I'm dealing with you, I want to deal with you. Yeah, you know, you can copy your other people on there, you know, if you want, but I mean, I like it, and I think as far as like a customer as well, clients, I mean, it's like, you know, they're dealing with you, Jeff. They don't want to deal with 6 other your
and we're not, you know, white glove service or whatever. Like we're hired because either we've gained trust with them or they know us, or
like and trust. I always say that.
So it's like if we're passing you down to whoever. You know, so at some point you're just a transaction or something.
And that's what your clients feel like, and that's what we feel like when all that happens. But anyway, so when you start throwing in a bunch of other people and emailing this, I mean, we don't have time for that. I'm just going to say it. I don't have time for that.
Well, especially don't make it my responsibility to get your people involved.
Our minds don't work like
I don't
that.
know who your people are, man. Like,
no, I'm dealing with you. So no, I get that 100%. So pet peeves. So that's one of your pet peeves. That's one of my pet peeves too. Yeah. Another one of my pet peeves.
Okay.
And this can come from my side, or it can,
Mm-hmm.
or if I'm showing a house, is a seller being at the house.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I understand why they want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
They think they're being helpful,
Yeah.
but it really hurts.
Mm-hmm.
It hurts. I mean, because it's all an emotional thing for these
Yeah.
buyers. It's an emotional thing. And when they walk into a house, you want them to walk in there and in their mindset go, okay, will my couch fit here?
Yeah.
You know, oh, I can watch TV here, or the fireplace, you know, my
Mhm.
family can eat here, you know, I can cook here.
Yeah.
If you have your seller, you know, telling you about everything, what's great about this house,
Mhm.
they can't picture themselves in the
Yeah.
house.
Mhm.
They can just picture that seller in there, and
Yeah.
it's a turnoff.
When it's distracting as
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
and not to mention all of a sudden now the seller has a lot to tell you about the house they didn't tell you.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're like getting a call from the realtor, be like, oh, what does it he mean that he replaced this? You're like,
Yeah.
it's not a disclosure.
Yeah, I know, right?
You know,
Yeah.
so now
Yeah.
you're in a legal dispute. you
Yeah.
know, so no, yeah, it's a big pet peeve.
Yeah, and
But-
so that's, you know, a few reasons why, you know,
Mhm.
as a real estate agent, we ask you not to be there, you know.
Yeah.
And I get it, you know, I have it sometimes, you know, towards the end,
Mhm.
you know, I'm cool, you know,
Yeah.
if the sellers come in and kind of go over the whole property, you know, how to work everything. If it's
Yeah.
kind of a weird property, you know, especially with like, you know, ranch style, larger
Yeah.
properties,
Well,
bigger homes.
And I know you work the lake a lot, so you
Mhm.
probably get people coming from Prosper, Frisco, or
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
California that are, you know, oh, this is where you do this at, and this is, you know, what dock you use, and so
Yeah.
like having that kind of thing.
Yeah, just different thing. How, you know,
Mhm.
if it's a weird mechanical
Yeah.
type situation, you know, stuff at the property. Yeah, 100%. You know,
Yeah.
that's cool. But I'll tell you what. So here's something funny. So my very first, I think it was my very first contract I wrote. It was at a house in Pottsboro, and I was representing the buyer,
Mhm.
and we had the seller, and then the buyer and the seller wanted to meet the buyer.
Yeah.
Dude, they clashed.
Yeah.
I mean, bad.
Hmm.
I mean, toward argument, curse words were
Were you there for it?
no.
Yeah.
I wasn't. I was there in the emails
Mm-hmm.
going back and forth,
Okay.
and so I was
So
like,
what was the reason they wanted to meet in the? Because I'm assuming y'all
because they were going to
agreed
be
about that.
neighbors.
Yeah. Okay.
So the seller wanted to meet the
Mm.
buyer,
Okay.
and they just didn't get along.
Did the deal fall through?
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, it fell through, big
That's
time.
terrible.
So, and what's funny about that story is,
Mhm.
I had this black polo shirt on.
Mhm.
You know, that was going to be my style, my shirt. After that one crash, I threw it away.
Yeah. Bad juju.
Yeah, because I took a picture,
Yeah.
selfie, and I was in that picture with the house in the background.
Yeah.
That was my first sale. Yeah, it crashed and burned. So did that shirt.
It's like the Black Parade.
Yeah. So yeah. So anyway.
Oh man, yeah, no, I think it's unless it's like we're transferring non-realty items and everything
Mhm.
like that. Y'all need to know each other, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so
there's a time and a place for it, but
Mhm.
99% of the time there's
yeah.
not.
Then
Yeah.
like the realtor reach out, the buyer wants the seller's number because I'm like, no, you don't, you know, like we're not doing that. So
And it happens.
yeah,
So
all the
I mean,
time.
yeah.
All the time.
Oh yeah.
So
You got another one?
I got another one on my little trusted notes here. This one's against realtors, so sorry, realtors.
Yeah.
But agents who use how much volume they sell, like to promote themselves.
Yeah.
Like you see them, they're like, we're closing
Yeah.
10 million this month.
Yeah,
We got
yeah, yeah.
another 8 million in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Like 100% get why you do
Yeah.
it, but to me as a consumer, I'm like,
Yeah.
like, bro, chill. Like, get it.
Yeah, because sometimes as a buyer or seller, you're like, oh, you're well off, or you're bragging.
Yeah.
You know, you're more focused on how much money you're making,
Yeah.
right?
That's another part of
Versus
it,
you
yeah.
know,
The
selling my
component, yeah.
house or helping me buy a house.
Yeah.
So
I'm
yeah,
just, I'm
that's
just a number to you. I'm 3 GCI, you know.
Yeah.
So, and not that everybody does it, feels that way.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's in this industry, you got to kind of brag to set yourself apart and boast you and toot your own horn as
Yeah.
you will. And
I like that you use boast.
yeah. So boast.
So-
we get on like
So one of my pet peeves is
you going descriptions?
yeah,
Okay. All right.
description, boasting, stunning.
Yeah. Cozy.
cozy. Yeah. So do you use AI sometimes to help you with your descriptions? So even AI, if you tell it,
Yeah.
if you're like, oh, you help me with this real estate description, blah blah blah, and you name whatever you want to, and it'll put in there boasting or stunning. I'm like, oh my god, come on now.
Yeah, it's just pulling from the
Yeah.
catchwords
So it's
or whatever.
all the other ones. So.
Have you seen the ones that will just copy and paste it straight and put it in the description, and you can
And it
see
shows
it's
at the top.
GPT.
I just had somebody text me today as an email.
Yeah.
And I looked at the top of it, and it said energetic.
Would you like me to put this in a different tone?
Yeah,
for you?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
what are you talking-
yeah. So I saw that when I first read it. I was like,
Yeah.
what are we talking about?
That's probably the realtor's third assistant writing
Yeah,
that for him. So
So
so realtors, check your assistants.
So if we're sticking to pet peeves and realtors,
Yeah.
I'll go to back to what I said earlier. When you ask someone, what made you get into real estate, and they said, well, because I love to show houses.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a pet peeve and a red flag for me.
Yeah.
Right. So
As a realtor that says it.
yeah. I think it's a pet peeve and a little bit of a red flag. So can I throw out another one that's not really real estate related?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I've always wanted to tell people that this is my pet peeve.
Okay.
My wife knows it is. So like when you're in a parking lot, we'll use Target since they're going to sponsor us.
Our first sponsor of the show, Target.
Yeah, Target. So you're in a parking lot.
We'll be in red
shopping.
polos next time, by the way.
What's that?
For the next episode, we'll have red polos on.
Yeah. the little Targets. Or maybe we get the little dog. Oh, I have a
There you go.
yeah. I have a little dog. We can put the Target sign. Anyway, so parking lots, right? So you're driving in the parking lot, whether you're going to be parking or not, but someone walking in front of you diagonally
Okay.
across the parking lot, like where you're trying to drive and they're walking instead of cutting straight across and you can keep going.
Yeah.
They kind of walk in front of you the whole time.
Yeah.
Diagonal.
Mosey, if you will.
Mosey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my pet peeve.
Yeah, no, that's a good one.
Not really real estate related, but
Could be.
Yeah.
You're trying to get your closing gift for your client.
yeah,
And they're just moseying through the
at
parking lot.
Target. Yeah.
At Target.
Yeah.
All closing gifts are bought at Target.
Yes. Thank you, Target.
Oh,
You have another one?
I mean, I could go all day. How much time do we got?
I don't know. What
yeah, I mean, I got some more, but I mean, like, should I say them for some
well,
other segments or
Yeah.
other
so
podcasts?
that was our segment of
Pet
pet peeves, brought to you by.
Target,
We'll probably get in trouble for that, won't we?
probably.
Yeah, because we're so big. And we have
Lone River Ranch Water.
we'll have a cease and desist letters coming.
Y'all please stop using Target.
So if you want to send those out, 400 West Main Street, number 104, Denison, Texas. Attention, Jeff. All right.
Let's get in line.
All right. So, hey, I think we finally made it through our first little.
Is that the first one?
I think so.
What do you think? How do you think it went?
I think it's all right.
Yeah.
We
Good.
can get a little edgier.
You think were we not edgy enough?
I don't think so. Maybe
No.
maybe a little bit more. But we got to introduce ourselves.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe-
I'll bring the mezcal next time, and we'll,
Yeah. We'll do this a little bit later at night.
a little later.
Yeah.
Wear the tux with the unbuttoned shirt, and
Yeah.
let's get it.
Show chest hairs and stuff like that.
Get
No,
some
it's kind of cool. Kind of
cigars going.
kind of cool. Meet you, learn a little bit more about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting. It'll be fun to. I'm excited to get people in the adjacent industries, and I'd really like to hear some of their pet peeves. Like what's a title person's pet peeve?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's realtors, but
Yeah, I know builders. I know.
would you care to elaborate on that? Just realtors?
Yeah,
Just realtors.
just realtors in general. Builders, I
Yeah.
know for a fact. They do not like real estate agents.
Oh, I'm sure.
Realtors,
Yeah.
So is it realtor, or realtor?
It's just, technically it's realtor,
Yeah.
but most people are going to say realtors. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I want to get a.
And which is some
Appraisers.
realtors' pet peeves is when you say realtor.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll say realtor
Yeah.
because it is your pet peeve,
Doing it on purpose.
or just because somebody's telling me it has to be realtor.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just
Realtor.
that's just me though. I'm always trying to go against the grain a little bit.
Just
That's
changing-
kind of why we're doing this.
Just changing the pronunciation of words.
Yeah.
So
All right, so that's it for our first little episode here.
well,
Who
thank
we got
y'all.
coming up next? We do have a guest lined up.
We do. Next, I think we're doing this in a
Yeah, the
couple
next
weeks
time we do
again.
this,
So
yeah.
our buddy. I think you started using him recently. I'm OG, so he's my buddy. Valentine.
Yep.
With Gyre Multimedia. So.
Yeah, multimedia. Yeah, so photographers. Yeah, they do
it's
video.
real estate related. Yeah. So.
Yeah, real estate related. And so what's funny is Chris Romaine here at the studio as well. Met him the other day.
Oh yeah.
He was shooting at the house he's just sold or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was out there shooting photos. So it's kind of a small world how all that.
Oh, okay. So you ran into Chris?
Yeah.
They knew each other? Or?
No.
Oh,
but they were just talking and then mentioned because he just left from taking photos at one of my new listings.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
he's busy. He's
it's good. He's good. Yeah. And I like him because he knows about the little marketing side and all that. So he's got some stories.
Yeah. No, I'm
sure.
I was talking to him the other day and I was like, we need to save some of these for the podcast because we're going to waste all the good ones for just shooting the shit, So.
Yep. That's cool. All right. Well, we'll end on that one. So I appreciate y'all hanging out wherever you're at. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Later.
Thanks for keeping it real.